I never thought something I said in the heat of the moment would actually end everything. But here we are. I guess I should have known better, but sometimes, when you're caught up in the frustration, it just slips out. I'm Jessica, 32 years old, and this is the mess I made. I don't even know where to start. I just can't stop thinking about it. How something that should have been a funny joke turned into something that ripped my family apart. It's like a bad dream, but I lived it. To put it simply, I teased him about his salary. You know, in a lighthearted way, or at least that's what I thought it was. We'd been arguing a lot lately, nothing major, just the usual stuff. Bills piling up, me nagging him about his job, and him getting defensive like he always does. I didn't mean to hurt him, but I guess I kinda did. See, I've always been the one to handle the money in our house, but I'm terrible at it. I overspend, never save, and always act on impulse. I mean, I get what I want when I want it, right? Who wouldn't? But then there's him, Mark. He's a good guy, 34, works hard, but his job just doesn't pay enough to keep up with all the things I want. And that's what bothers me. I love him, I really do. But sometimes when I look at our life, I can't help but feel like he's just not cutting it. I don't know. Maybe that sounds harsh, but it's the truth. I need more. We were sitting in the living room, the kids were at their grandmother's for the night, and Mark was going on about how we should be more careful with spending. I hate hearing that. It just feels like constant nagging. We've had that conversation a million times, and he still can't seem to understand that life's too short to worry about every penny. So, that night, I decided to make a joke. A joke that I thought was harmless. But clearly, it wasn't. I looked at him and said, "Maybe you should get a better job, you know? At least then we wouldn't have to worry about the bills all the time. Or maybe I should just get a sugar daddy. At least they know how to take care of things." I laughed after, like it was all just a joke, but you could see the change in his face. He didn't laugh. His eyes, they went cold. I didn't get it at first. I mean, what was his problem? It was just a joke. That's all. But then he just stood up and left. And honestly, I didn't think much of it at first. I figured he was just being dramatic. But when he didn't come back that night, I got worried. He wasn't answering my calls or texts, and that's when I started to feel it. The anxiety creeping in. I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the stupid joke, but it wasn't like I could take it back now. The next day, he came home, and there was this heavy silence between us. I could feel it. He didn't even look at me when he walked in. I tried to act like everything was fine, like nothing had happened, but he wouldn't speak to me. Finally, I asked him what was going on, and that's when the argument started. "You don't get it, Jess," he said, his voice tight. "You think it's funny to make fun of my job? To talk about getting a sugar daddy while we're sitting here barely getting by? That's not funny. It's hurtful, and it makes me feel like crap." I wasn't ready for that. He was angry, but I wasn't even sure why. Wasn't it just a joke? Wasn't he overreacting? But instead of backing down, I dug my heels in. I told him he was being too sensitive, that it was just a joke and I didn't mean anything by it. I mean, honestly, I didn't. But he wasn't having it. "I'm not being sensitive, Jess. You've been on me for months now about how much money we don't have, about how I'm not doing enough. And then you throw a jab like that? It's too much. I'm done." I was in shock. He said he was done, but I didn't believe it. I thought he was just saying it in the heat of the moment. But the more we argued, the more it became clear he wasn't backing down. He was serious. I kept pushing, trying to make him see that it was just a stupid joke. But the more I pushed, the further he pulled away. And that's when I realized this wasn't about the joke anymore. This was about everything. He was tired. Tired of me treating him like he wasn't enough. Tired of me always spending and never being satisfied. Tired of me never taking responsibility for anything. And that's what hurt him the most. I wanted to blame him for overreacting, but deep down, I knew it was my fault. I had crossed a line. I should have never said that to him. But the problem was, I didn't really see it as a big deal at first. And even now, I don't fully get it. But something inside of me knows I messed up. Maybe I didn't respect him the way I should have. Maybe I didn't see how hard he was trying. But it's too late now. I keep telling myself I'll fix it, but I'm not sure I can. The damage is done, so here I am. Sitting here, telling you all of this because I don't know what else to do. I can't take back what I said, and I can't undo what's happened. All I can do now is try to understand what went wrong and maybe, just maybe, learn from it. But I don't know if I'll ever get the chance to. Do you think I can fix this? Or is it really too late? I didn't apologize that night, and honestly, I wasn't planning to. My pride wouldn't let me. I kept telling myself he's just being dramatic. I mean, who gets that upset over a joke? It was supposed to be funny, wasn't it? But it wasn't. I could see it in his eyes. It was like he was looking at me differently. Like I wasn't the woman he married anymore. And that hurt, but I didn't let myself admit it. The next few days were miserable. I didn't talk to him much. I'd try to bring up normal stuff, like the kids' school events or grocery shopping, but every time I spoke to him, it was like he was shutting me out. I could tell he was still angry, but I didn't want to be the one to apologize. I just didn't. It felt wrong, like I was admitting I had done something wrong, and that wasn't going to happen. I wasn't ready for that. At first I thought he would come around. I mean, he always does, right? He gets mad, we argue, then we make up. But not this time. It was like something shifted in him. Maybe it was the years of me pushing him down, making him feel small, always telling him how we needed more money, how he wasn't doing enough. It's funny, because I never even realized I was doing it. I didn't mean to make him feel like that. I thought I was just venting. But now, looking back, I see the cracks. I see how my words chipped away at him. The kids could feel the tension, too. They kept asking why Dad wasn't talking to me, why he was always in his office with the door shut. I couldn't tell them the truth, obviously, so I just made up excuses. Oh, Daddy's just tired, I'd say. We'll be fine, don't worry about it. But I knew deep down, this wasn't going to blow over. It wasn't just a fight, something was broken. And still, I didn't apologize. I didn't even know how. How do you apologize for something you don't think is wrong? How do you admit to someone that you hurt them when you don't see the problem yourself? That was my dilemma. My pride and my stubbornness kept me from taking that step. And every day, as the days passed, it got worse. One afternoon, I decided to go out and do something fun, like I always do when I need to clear my head. I thought if I got out of the house for a little while, I'd forget about everything. So, I went to a coffee shop. It was just me, my phone, and a latte. I scrolled through Instagram seeing people living their best lives. Then I saw a picture of Mark's old coworker from a job he had before, posting about how he was moving up in the world, getting a promotion, better salary. It made me think of Mark. He used to talk about wanting more, but it never happened. He never pushed for anything better. And that's when I felt the frustration bubble up again. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. It was so easy for him to act like nothing had happened, to just shut me out. If he cared about me at all, he'd be the one to apologize. He'd see that I was just frustrated, that I was trying to make a joke to lighten the mood. But no, he just pulled away, and now it felt like he was punishing me for something that wasn't even a big deal. So, I got mad, and I decided I wasn't going to be the one to reach out. I wasn't going to chase him down. I wasn't the one who made things awkward, right? He was. A few days later, I finally broke down and texted him. You know, if you'd just talk to me, we could get over this. I'm sorry you're so upset, but I don't know what you want me to do. But of course, he didn't respond the way I wanted. He texted back saying, I need space, Jess. I need time to think. I don't know if I can keep doing this. I stared at that message for what felt like hours, and I still didn't get it. I still didn't understand why he couldn't just let it go. I mean, wasn't it just a joke? I had apologized? Sort of. It wasn't until the next weekend that I realized how serious this was. We had plans with the kids. We were supposed to go to a park, but he didn't show up. He was still distant. I was fuming by the time I picked up the kids and went home. They were talking about how much fun they had, but I wasn't listening. All I could think about was how Mark was still avoiding me. That night, I finally broke down. I was sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone, when the tears started to fall. I felt like everything was falling apart. But even then, I couldn't bring myself to reach out the way I should have. I couldn't admit that I was wrong. It wasn't just the joke anymore. It was everything leading up to it. The way I'd been treating him, the way I never really listened. but admitting that was too hard. I'm not sure what it's gonna take for me to see the full picture. But right now, I can't help but feel like I've pushed him too far. And even though part of me wants to say, I'm sorry, my pride is still holding me back. I just don't know how to get through this. Or if I even can. The tension had been building up for days, and I couldn't take it anymore. It was like walking on eggshells every time I stepped into the house. Mark was still distant, still cold, and I was losing my patience. It's like he wanted me to beg for his forgiveness, but that wasn't going to happen. I wasn't gonna grovel. Not for something that I didn't think was even that big of a deal. That night, I couldn't hold it in any longer. He was sitting on the couch, flipping through TV channels, pretending like everything was normal. I could feel the anger simmering inside me. I grabbed my phone, sent the kids to bed, and then I confronted him. Why are you still acting like this? I snapped, standing in front of him. I've apologized enough, haven't I? So what is your problem? Mark looked at me for a long second before he stood up. He was calm, too calm, like he had been thinking about this for a while. Jess, he started, his voice low but sharp. It's not just the joke, it's everything. It's the way you treat me like I'm nothing. The way you make fun of me all the time, like I'm just here to entertain you. You think I don't see it? You think I don't hear what you say behind closed doors? I opened my mouth to respond, but he cut me off. No, he continued, his voice rising now. You don't get it, I'm sick of it. You make jokes about my job, about how much money I make. You laugh like it's funny, but it's not. It's degrading. And I let it slide. I let you say whatever you wanted because I thought you didn't mean it. But now I realize you do mean it. You think I'm not good enough. You think you're better than me, and I've had enough. My heart was pounding. This was not the reaction I expected. He wasn't supposed to be mad like this. He was supposed to just get over it and go back to being the guy I could push around, the guy who would forgive me. But not now. Now he was different. I didn't know how to respond. You're blowing this way out of proportion, I muttered, trying to stay calm. It was a joke, a harmless joke. You're acting like I said something terrible, but I didn't. You're overreacting. This isn't my fault. Really? He was standing in front of me now, his face inches from mine. You think I'm overreacting? You think I'm the problem here? He paused, and for the first time, I saw something in his eyes that terrified me, something I hadn't seen before. You're not as great as you think you are, Jess. You're not this perfect person who can do no wrong. You're impulsive. You spend money like it grows on trees, and you never think about the consequences. I'm trying to keep us afloat, but every time I turn around, you're throwing money away on things we don't need. And it's not just the money. It's the way you treat me like I'm just some guy who's supposed to put up with your nonsense. But I'm done. I'm done putting up with it. I felt my stomach twist, but I didn't want to give him the satisfaction of seeing how much his words stung, so I tried to fight back. Are you seriously pulling the I'm the good guy card on me? I scoffed, crossing my arms. You're not perfect either, Mark. You've got your own issues too, but you're too busy blaming me for everything to notice. He stared at me, shaking his head in disbelief. You really don't get it, do you? He took a deep breath and exhaled like he was trying to calm himself down. You think it's just about the joke. But it's the way you talk to me. The way you make me feel small. You're not the only one frustrated with how things are going, Jess. I've been trying to make this work for us, and all you do is tear me down. You're too focused on what's wrong with me to see what's wrong with you. I stood there, speechless, my throat tight. I wanted to yell at him, to tell him that he was being unfair. I wanted to argue that it was just a joke and he was overreacting. But something in the way he looked at me made me realize he was right, at least a little bit. I'm sorry, I started, but the words didn't feel real. I didn't mean to hurt you. He just shook his head, his face hardening. Sorry doesn't fix anything, Jess. I've been trying to fix things for a while now, but you don't want to change. You just want to stay the same, make excuses, and pretend it's everyone else's fault. I stood there, frozen, as the silence between us grew. I wanted to say something, anything, to make him see I was trying. But the truth was, I wasn't really trying. I was too wrapped up in my own stuff to see how much I had been hurting him. And now, it was too late. I didn't know how to fix it. And I didn't know how to fix me. He turned away from me and walked toward the door. I need space, Jess. I need to think about what I want. I stood there, watching him leave, my heart pounding in my chest. Part of me wanted to chase him down, beg him to stay, to apologize properly. But another part of me, one I hated, was too proud, too stubborn, to admit I was wrong. And now I was alone in the silence, with nothing but the echo of his words in my head. I woke up the next morning with the worst headache I've had in years. The silence in the house felt suffocating. Mark was gone, the kids were at school, and I was left with my thoughts. I tried to shake off the nagging feeling that something was wrong, but it was impossible. My mind kept going back to what had happened last night. Mark's words played over and over in my head, each one sharper than the last. He wasn't exaggerating. I had been treating him badly for so long, and I hadn't even realized it. But I couldn't fix it now, could I? I'd pushed him too far, and no matter how much I tried to tell myself that I could apologize and make things right, deep down, I knew that wasn't true. The damage had been done, and that feeling, the feeling of being utterly alone, that was the worst part. It was crushing. I tried to call Mark, but he didn't answer. Then I tried again, and again. Nothing. My fingers were shaking, and I felt this gnawing panic in my chest. What had I done? What was happening? It wasn't until that evening that I found out. I came home to an envelope on the kitchen counter. No note, just a divorce petition. My stomach dropped when I saw it. The words blurred for a second, and I had to blink to focus. Divorce. After everything, after all the years, he was walking away. I couldn't breathe. I didn't know whether to cry or scream or do both. I thought about all the times I pushed him away with my jokes, with my insults, with my impulsive decisions. I had this weird, sick feeling in my gut, like I was suffocating, but I didn't know how to stop it. I stared at that paper for what felt like hours. It was all my fault. Every single bit of it. But here's the thing. When you realize you've messed up, it's like everything happens too fast to fix. I wanted to call him, to beg him to come back, to tell him how sorry I was, but I knew he wouldn't. He wasn't the same man anymore. The next morning, I met him in person. We hadn't spoken since that argument. He was sitting in the living room, his eyes red, like he hadn't been sleeping. He didn't even look at me when I walked in. Mark, I started, my voice cracking. Please don't do this. I messed up, I can fix it. He didn't even flinch. He just shook his head slowly, like he was watching someone who had no idea what they were doing. I don't think you can, he said softly, but his words were final, like a door slamming shut. I've been trying for a long time, Jess. I've been trying to make you see how much I care, but it's like you never noticed. Or maybe you just didn't care enough to notice. You hurt me, over and over again, and I kept forgiving you because I thought things would get better. But they didn't. I swallowed hard, biting my lip to hold back tears. But I knew it was too late. The man I had once known, the man I had loved, was gone. And all because of me. I didn't know how much I hurt you, I whispered, the words barely escaping my throat. I didn't mean to. I didn't see it. I thought I could joke my way through everything. And now look at us. Mark didn't say anything. He just looked at me with eyes full of hurt and disappointment. I don't think you'll ever get it, Jess. You've always been so impulsive, always thinking about what you want in the moment and never stopping to consider how it affects anyone else. I can't do it anymore. I'm done. I could feel the tears welling up, but I didn't let them fall. I couldn't. I wouldn't give him the satisfaction of seeing me break down, but inside I was falling apart. This was all my fault. If only I'd just stopped and thought for a second. If only I'd put my pride aside. If only I'd noticed that he wasn't the same person I'd married. But now it was too late. I love you, Mark, I said, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. I always have. He didn't respond. He just stood up and grabbed his things. I stood there, frozen, unable to move, unable to do anything. I was the one who had destroyed everything, and now it was too late to fix it. As he walked out the door, he looked back at me one last time, his face unreadable. And then he was gone. It wasn't until I was left standing in the empty house, staring at the divorce papers in my hands, that it hit me. I had lost him for good. Not because of the joke, not because of anything I thought was funny, but because of everything else. The way I had treated him over time, the way I had neglected him, the way I had dismissed his feelings. Now, I was the one who was alone. And I hated it. I hated the silence. I hated the emptiness, and most of all, I hated that I had taken him for granted. I had been so caught up in my own world, in my own impulsive decisions, that I hadn't seen how much I was driving him away. Now, I would have to live with that. And I would have to live with the fact that I had lost the only person who ever truly cared about me. All because I couldn't stop being me, impulsive, thoughtless, and too proud to admit when I was wrong. He was gone, and I had no one to blame but myself.